We have another question in the center of the room. Oh, over there. Yep.
I just wanted to go back to the failures. I mean, if science is based on deductive reasoning, then that's really important information. And how do we know we're not reproducing those failures and putting money into those failures if it's not published somewhere?
Okay.
We agree.
Yeah. There's actually an interesting debate that's going on in the pharmaceutical industry about this very topic, because drug companies spend huge amounts sort of in investigational activities, and when they find out that something isn't working, they drop it, right? And they bury it. And it's okay if some other company picks it up, because then they will have wasted their time and resources on something instead of more effectively and perhaps coming up with something that would be a competitor. I don't think we do it with that same malintent in academia. I think we recognize the challenges of publishing things that were negative findings or didn't start off well. And I think we maybe should be sort of more honest and sort of helpful citizens to each other by trying to publish or present or make known, when we have failures and why.
One of the challenges from my field looking at hospitals and their performance is there are now some big disincentives to not be viewed as a poor performer. So hospital compare. How you do in a particular condition is on the web for all of your patients, your population, your board of directors, whoever it may be. Try to get a hospital in our situation to go to them and say, look, we've identified you as one of the worst performers in this collaborative. Can you please get up in front of an audience of your peers across the state and tell us why you do so poorly, so that we might learn from those experiences, or lack of experience as it may be. It's a very delicate thing to do and very challenging. So in the real world, as you're trying to learn from the crashes, if you will, there are a lot of barriers that we face in trying to bring those to the surface to really take a look at them.
I guess, sorry, on a different note, I was wondering, I'm a psychologist. I was trained in the Boulder model, scientist, practitioner. Does that still exist? I've been told as time has passed, you either have to choose one or another. And how does that then impact implementation science?
Well, there are a few scientist practitioners up here. I resemble that remark, and I'm still a practicing family physician. And I know there are a number of others in the audience. I think it can be done. I don't think it's easy.
A question going back to the comment that Scott just made. Part of the issue that I see is realizing kind of we have to change what we do. I mean, we're here at the University of Michigan. We're the best in the country. Everything we do is perfect, and all those randomized trials that are telling us differently are wrong because of these 14 statistical problems. And as a practitioner, that's what we do all the time in our practice. How do we get at addressing the culture to realize, hey, wait a minute, there are better ways to do this, and we may not be doing it the best as you look at, comparing your hospitals and who is the best practice, who's the not so great practice. How do you overcome those barriers of culture that say, hey, I don't practice the best way that's out there for my patients? Because I think individually we all believe we do.
Well, I mean, I can speak to some of our solutions that we've dealt with in trying to break through some of that problem, which is, first and foremost, creating small networks of groups trying to improve such that there's a comfort level within those networks, that they feel there's trust, that we're not trying to highlight poor performance to make a point, to publicize it, but rather so that we can all learn. I think what we've learned too is there is nobody that does this perfectly. Everybody has something to learn from everybody. And in fact, you look at the poor performers, there may be some aspects of a particular process that they do quite well, it's just not leading to the intended effect. And so trying to bring out some of those is a very important way to bring people up, if you will, and allow them to share some of this information. It's funny, I saw in Dr. Grimshaw's slide, he highlighted that there had been numerous systematic reviews on changing organizational culture and how you do that to get at some of these issues. And it was a Cochrane review. I hadn't seen it, and I actually pulled it up. I had an advanced copy of his slides and took a look at it. And the conclusion from the article was that we cannot make any conclusions about how we change organizational culture because all of the studies are insufficient in trying to address this particular problem. So we need better understanding and better research in that area.
Yeah, if I could also just add, this is actually why I've spent the last several years on feedback interventions as a mechanism, because one of the first pieces is for people to recognize what their performance really is. And without feedback, you can't. So you have a lack of knowledge about what, how you compare to other people and how you're performing yourself. So that's one piece. It's seldom a sufficient thing to do. It's necessary but not sufficient. The other thing I would say, and again, as somebody new to Michigan, I've been impressed in the time I've been here with people's willingness to ask that kind of question in a public setting, which actually doesn't happen in all places. And the willingness on the part of the senior leaders I've interacted with to listen to that kind of question and take it on. I think that that's a huge strength. It's not always easy to follow through and actually make change happen, but the messages coming from the top of the hierarchy on issues like this are critically important, because how people receive their sense that they may not be performing as well as other people is very much conditioned by their experience of what happens when you are or not performing well. And I think that how to make that be real is not an easy thing. My sense is people here are working on it.